How amazing would it be to go through life knowing that there's someone who always has your back? That's the confidence that self-trust can give you. Self-trust is knowing that you act in your own best interest and having faith and confidence in your abilities and judgments to navigate the challenges that life brings. When we trust ourselves, we make decisions that are in alignment with our values and our beliefs, and that leads to a life that is more rich and meaningful and fulfilling. Maybe you haven't given self-trust a lot of thought and you're not sure whether it's an issue for you. Well, here are 3 signs that it is an issue and some ideas for how you can handle that. The first giveaway is that you have a really hard time making decisions. You spend a lot of time checking with your friends and your neighbors and your family and gathering information on the internet to make a decision, and then once you make it, you spend a lot of time second guessing. And heaven forbid that something doesn't go right with your decision, because then you'll spend a lot of time with the self-recriminations and use that as evidence that you are not to be trusted. So if this sounds like you, here are a few things you can do. First, ditch the idea of perfectionism, the idea that there is a perfect answer. For most things in life, you are never going to be able to have all the information that you need to make an absolutely perfect or right decision. Most decisions that we make are imperfect, and we just learn to navigate the outcome, whether it's good or bad. So don't be afraid of a wrong decision. Learn to accept that regret and mistakes are just part of being human. They are not proof that you can't be trusted. The second thing you can do is begin to exercise your decision-making muscle. Start making small decisions without checking in with anyone else, especially if these decisions are mostly relevant to you. If you want, you can document your decisions and write a sentence or 2 about what happens so that you'll have a trail of facts that you can refer back to when you start experiencing self-doubt. One thing that I've found really helpful in making decisions is checking in with my head, my heart, and my gut. And I check in with all 3 of them and I balance what they have to say against each other. And sometimes they are going to be in conflict because your head is your rational thinking brain and it tends to deal in logic and facts, whereas your heart is your emotional center. So it deals in feelings and perception and intuition. And your gut is your primal instinctive survival instinct. So it's important to listen to what they all have to say and then make a decision balancing their competing narratives. And if you find yourself second guessing your decision, try to reframe it as, this thing happened, and what can I learn from it that will help me make better decisions in the future? The second giveaway that you lack self-trust is that you regularly betray and abandon yourself. By this I mean you discount your value, you doubt your abilities, you ignore your successes, and you constantly beat yourself up when things don't go right, even if they're not in your control. You don't set boundaries and you ignore and fail to meet your needs. In fact, you often sacrifice your needs to meet the needs of other people, and you constantly break promises to yourself, large and small. Another aspect to this is that you sometimes hide away or disown aspects to your personality, like your needy self, or your jealous self, or your sad self, or even positive aspects of your personality that other people might be a little judgmental about, like maybe you are a great anime artist, but none of your friends even know what anime is. If this sounds like you, here's a few things you can do to start repairing that sense of self-trust. The first and most important thing is to start being kind to yourself. Would you trust a neighbor who always called you a fat slob or a stupid idiot? Of course not. So when you are harshing on yourself all the time, it's extremely hard to have that sense of self-trust. So even if you're not feeling this sense of self-love, start treating yourself that way. Treat yourself with the same kindness and compassion and understanding that you would a very good friend or someone that you loved very much. And give yourself a break. Pay attention to your self-talk and rephrase or reword anything that's unnecessarily harsh or judgmental or unforgiving. The second step is to begin really listening to yourself and pay attention to your own needs and get them met. Even if this means that other people might have a slight problem when your priorities shift a little bit, but you need to keep yourself in the mix, and you need to know that you are going to take care of yourself. I mean, that's essential to self-trust. And you want to start protecting yourself and your energy by enforcing boundaries around your time and attention. Learn to say no, and remember that no is a complete sentence. You don't need to justify how you spend your time and attention. The third step is to begin keeping promises to yourself. And you can start with really small promises. You don't want to come out of the gate with some enormous goal, but you want to get into the habit of making promises to yourself and keeping them, so you send the message to yourself that your word can be trusted and that you do follow through. One thing I like to do is to give myself a reward when I keep my promise a certain number of times. Like maybe I'll make a promise to myself to do my morning routine 5 days a week, and if I do that, maybe I will treat myself to an afternoon Starbucks with a girlfriend. And it's really important to follow through on the reward, because sometimes what I'll do is I'll push it off. I'll extend the goal. I'll say, well, I did 5 days. I don't need the reward yet. I'll wait until I make it 15 days. But when you do that, you are breaking trust with yourself. Third giveaway that you don't have a lot of self-trust is that you experience a lot of fear and anxiety, especially about the unknown. You often worry and ruminate about the future and all of the things that could go wrong. And this is because you fear the worst and you lack trust in your ability to navigate the challenges and the ups and downs that life will inevitably send your way. Fear and anxiety are complicated subjects, and I'm not going to do a deep dive into that today, but I wanted to give you a little hack that might help desensitize you a little bit to being uncomfortable and to meeting challenges. And this is to deliberately challenge yourself. When you give yourself a challenge, you are sending the message that you are the kind of person who's worthy enough to receive a difficult challenge. The important thing here is to do the best you can and to not be too vested in the outcome. It's great if you meet the challenge, but even if you don't, there's this philosophy by Marie Forleo, which I love, which is win or learn, I never lose. And that is a really helpful philosophy to adopt when you have not been successful at an endeavor. So again, the 3 signs that you might have a problem with self-trust are: number 1, you have a difficult time making decisions. Number 2, you regularly betray and abandon yourself. And number 3, you experience a lot of fear and anxiety. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video.